I actually had someone reach out to me and say, if you build me a 3-leg parlay and it hits, I'll send you X percentage of the winnings. Little did I know, this guy is high roller in Vegas. Parlay hits on a half-court buzzer beater from Nick Honor at Clemson. I'll never forget it. $600 Venmo right after the game. Like, I've never seen $600 come into my bank account at once. So when that happened, I just was instantly hooked.
That is amazing.
Kids that I went to college with. Oh, you're so lucky. Well, Fridays and Saturday nights, I was inside building a website and building a business, and you went to the bar or the club. But don't say that it's luck when I've sacrificed a lot for this. I spent my last dollar losing a bet and had no clue what I was doing. I was going to have to drop out of school and take my car off the road because I couldn't pay for it. And I had to figure out a way to do it. And that's when I started betting, literally to get through school and drive.
What's up, everybody? You've got Ryan, the CEO and a co-founder of DubClub. I'm joined on the CEO Corner podcast by Nick, the CEO of DormRoom Degenerates, and actually several other brands on DubClub that I'll leave undisclosed at this point. But Nick is an awesome business builder in the sports betting and sports betting consultant industry. It's a pleasure to have him on the show. Nick, how are we doing?
I'm great. San Francisco's been beautiful. Thank you so much for having me. It's such a cool experience to see the behind the scenes of how you guys run the whole operation. To us, you know, it's so simple. We just log into the website, post our plays. But seeing the team behind what we see is super cool.
You spent about an hour once you arrived to the office talking to Ashish, who's one of the new folks on our team. Tell me about what you learned, how that experience was, you know, your main takeaways from spending some time with the team.
I mean, what a beast. Like, just an awesome person. He was explaining to me that he's starting his own handicapping service to try and figure out what we need as handicappers, which to me is so cool. Like, someone's willing to see what we go through on a daily basis. To a lot of people, it seems so easy and it's a lot of, you know, glitz and glam, but there are problems that we deal with, and there are things that get in the way of us being even more successful than we are currently. So to see him going through that and just walk through the process and the ideas that he had that he's going to implement into DubClub was super cool to see. I mean, what a smart guy. Seriously.
We're going to talk about those problems and more on today's podcast because you've been building this business now for going on, 3+ years, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, with DubClub, but since I started, it's been 5, actually.
5, wow.
Yep.
Gosh, time flies, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna take the audience back 5 years, 5 years prior to now, right? During the heart of COVID. What was your life like, and what were you doing if DormRoom Degenerates was not yet founded?
Yeah, so honestly, I was in school. I was in college getting my master's degree during COVID, and there was nothing to do at all. Like, we couldn't even leave the dorms without getting a COVID test. So basically,
I remember those days.
Yeah, I wasn't huge into sports betting or anything, and my buddy is watching Korean baseball, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I need something to do. So we started betting on Korean baseball religiously. You know, we weren't great at it. We were losing a couple bucks, but I mean, we were betting $5, $10 a game, so it wasn't a big deal, but it was something fun to do. And then when sports came back, it was like, I'm used to this. I know how it works. So we started doing it. And honestly, my start into the handicapping world was I was tailing someone on TikTok who was super hot for 1 week and then went extremely cold, and I was losing a ton of money. So I was like, man, if this guy can do it, I have a background in data and a background in sports. I think I could be able to do this. So started posting.
I love that.
Absolutely. It was just, ever since I was young, sports, business, data have just been the 3 things I've always been best at naturally. So started posting content for free for people to enjoy and was winning a lot. And I actually had someone reach out to me and say, if you build me a 3-leg parlay and it hits, I'll send you X percentage of the winnings. Little did I know, this guy is a high roller in Vegas. Parlay hits on a half-court buzzer beater from Nick Honor at Clemson. I'll never forget it. I was dead broke, and parlay hits on a half-court buzzer beater 3, $600 Venmo right after the game. I was in awe. Like, I've never seen $600 come into my bank account at once. So when that happened, I just was instantly hooked.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah, not many people do.
Jeez.
Yeah, but then after that, we had a lot of people reach out to us and say they want a premium subscription, a premium service. They want to pay for more. And that's when I first launched for a March Madness tournament and had huge success, and the rest is history.
That is incredible. I'm gonna play back some of that because we're gonna unpack and unravel so the audience kind of has an idea, and we're gonna anchor it on this sign that's next to me and next to you. What does that say, Nick? What does the sign say?
$1 million in career earnings with DubClub.
And that is an amazing juxtaposition if you compare that to the $600 Venmo you received when you first got started in this industry, giving out your advice.
Yep.
Pretty amazing comparison. So let's take folks back again. I'm going to unpack a little bit and summarize what I just heard. Basically, nothing to do during COVID, so you're figuring out sports to bet on. You found Korean baseball, KBO, which is very popular, especially on like gambling Twitter at the time, which you hadn't really gotten into.
Yep.
And that sort of snowballed into a situation where you were starting to give out plays, when we say plays, like predictions, right? Like you're making bets and you're giving out what you're thinking is going to happen. You gave out a parlay to somebody, a high roller in Vegas who just so happened to be a man of his word, which I actually really appreciate and respect, because once you guys cashed that ticket, he Venmo'd you half the winnings, right? That's what he had said, and he did it. That's pretty freaking awesome. And then it sounds like for you, that was the eureka moment for you to realize, oh my goodness, I can make money giving people my advice, and I'm actually quite good at sports betting.
Yep.
So this is a chance for me to pursue this.
Yeah. And a cool tidbit, that person is still a subscriber on DubClub today.
That's
5 years later.
very cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yep. So he was the first one, and he's still he said he's going to be with me forever. So.
Oh, I would too if I were him. Yeah. And I would too if I'm myself, and I bet often. Right? You're very good at what you do. I will say that. I've subscribed to you on and off, right? When I have the capacity to actually participate in this stuff myself, given you've seen what we're doing here at DubClub. We've got a lot of business to be building, but in my spare time, sometimes I put down some money. So, Nick, DormRoom Degenerates, you never got into like how that started, right? Like where the heck did the name come from? I'm assuming something to do with college.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were literally sitting in our dorm room, and we were like, we're gonna post content, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And then a week passes, we didn't do it. Week passes, we didn't do it. We kept saying we're gonna do it.
We're like,
and I was
procrastination degenerates.
Yeah, I'm like, screw this. I'm making an account today. Made a TikTok account, and I'm like, all right, I need a name. Yep. And I just went through the letters of the alphabet. I needed 2 words that started. I wanted 2 words that started with the same letter, so I started with A. Couldn't think of anything, and I got to D, and I was like, I'm sitting in my dorm room, and a perfect word to describe us at the time was degenerates. Not anymore because now we do it the correct way, but back then, absolutely. And posted it, and honestly, our first video we posted blew up because of the name. All the comments were flooded with, this is the coolest name, blah, 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 blah. So it just stuck. And
it works. The alliteration, you hit the nail on the head with your business sense, right?
Yeah.
Make sure things have some alliteration with it.
Yep. And I've actually changed it one time, and everything went downhill.
Really?
Views were going down, sales were going down.
What did you change it to? Do you remember?
Just DRD Sports, because I wanted to be a little bit more professional. But when I did that, the response wasn't good from
the market. Loves DormRoom Degenerates, man. That's they love it.
And I feel at the end of the day, no matter how old you are, who you are, everyone wants to be able to get away and be a degenerate every once in a while.
100%. Yeah. It's authentic too, right? Yeah. Because it kind of gets into the origin of your business. DormRoom Degenerates was started in a dorm room during COVID. You guys were betting on KBO, finding something to do, content to create after a couple weeks of procrastination.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you've got, $1 million business on your hands. You mentioned that you had a sense that people were looking for this quote unquote premium experience. What does that mean to you?
So I had no clue what I was going to do when people asked for this. Literally, there were multiple people that said, we want to pay you to give us better plays. And in my head, I'm thinking, I'm already giving you all of my plays for free right now. How can I be better, right? And I think I'm still thinking about that today. How can I offer something better than what I already am? So instead of giving out 20 plays a day and just, hey, these are what I like, these are my leans, we still gave out 20. And then for people that wanted to be premium members, we indicated which 5 to 7 or 10, depending on the day, were our favorite, quote unquote, favorite plays, the ones that we were betting the heaviest. And people loved that. Instead of betting 20 games, they could now just bet double or triple on 5 games, right? So it still gets them in the same mindset of risking a lot of money, but they only have to win 3 to be profitable on a 5-game slate as opposed to having to win 12 games. So people loved it. And ever since then, it's, we've continued to grow. So
premium, it sounds like just finding the most essential thing to offer as advice, right?
Absolutely.
Instead of boiling the ocean, distilling it down for people that don't need to boil the ocean and would rather have more rifle shots and less scatter shots.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good analogy, and honestly, like a good segue to this commentary you're making around the term degenerate, where that's something you've kind of grown out of, right? You're running this business that is a legitimate sports consulting business. You're very good at what you do. We're going to get into how you do it, but you've been clear that degenerate is not how you view yourself or really the people that subscribe to you right now. Talk to me about what a degenerate means to you and what you would consider your subscribers to be.
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that because honestly, in the space of sports betting and content creation, I'm probably one of the least likely to have the name degenerate because you see a lot of people placing parlays, and that's a degenerate activity.
Yeah.
We know just through math, and that's what I have a background in, the more legs you add to a parlay, the less profitable it is long term. So whether you like to bet parlays or not, I don't care, but I'm just not going to do it because it's not profitable. I have nothing against people that do. It's just not profitable for me. So when I think of a degenerate, I think of someone that's betting parlays, someone that's betting long shots, someone that's betting heavy favorites, minus 200 plus, and not necessarily managing their bankroll properly, betting more than they can afford. Just a lot of negative practices that we think about when we talk about sports betting.
What was it about that TikTok guy that you were subscribed to that made you think I can do this better than him? As we talk about like the origin of the business and like where it is now versus where it was then.
Yeah. So when I first started tailing him, he went on a crazy heater, like I said, and I was making a lot of money.
And tailing to you means like placing the bets that he's
Correct.
suggesting you place. Yeah.
He's telling you your bets and you're placing the same wagers. So then I told my buddies about it and they started tailing him and he went super cold. And they all said, this guy sucks, right? That I was getting texts every single day. I'm done tailing him, blah, 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 blah. And I still had, somewhat of a loyalty to him because he had made me a lot of money in the past. Yeah. And then it got to a point where I realized, why would I take someone else's plays when I can make my own? And that's how I've always been in life. I've never been able to really have a boss. I've always wanted to be my own boss. And I think if someone else can do it, I hope that I'm smart enough to find a way to do it at a similar level or better. So that's just always how I've been. And the same thing happened with sports betting. As soon as I saw someone doing it, I thought to myself, if they can do it, so can I.
Sounds like you're pretty competitive.
That's an understatement. That's probably my biggest strength and my biggest downfall.
Tell the audience about how it's a strength and a downfall.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what I'm doing, I want to be the best at it. And it's awesome for business, not necessarily so awesome in sports or life. Sometimes you can get a little bit too serious playing, backyard sports or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I take everything extremely seriously and I want to be great. So when I'm not, I get mad at myself. I don't ever really get mad at other people, but if I'm not performing up to the standard that I expect for myself, I'm going to hold myself accountable and figure out what I have to do to change that.
I love that mentality. And that's a mentality that a lot of great competitors, a lot of great business people, pretty much anyone that's found success has some chip on their shoulder, some sense of I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to do more interesting things for other people. Yeah. I'm listening to an audiobook right now, which for the audience, if they're interested, and I think you'd find it interesting, it's called Winning. It's written by the guy that trained Michael Jordan, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, Charles Barkley, like all these greats. And he just talks about how he uses winning as kind of like he puts it in he personifies it. So he like makes it seem like a person that you're constantly like trying to chase or date or like fall in love with. And it's super elusive. And I think that's kind of the case because you're at a place where with your business, you got a $1 million a year business on DubClub and you're chasing after what's next. Right. And like, I think that's important for the audience to know because a lot of our listeners are other sports content creators, folks looking to build businesses online, take advantage of like this new world of entrepreneurship where you can be your own CEO, you can build your own business, you can do what you want to do and compete with yourself by being better every day and offering value that other people are willing to pay for online. How does the overall theme you think of people creating businesses online tie into sports betting?
Yeah, so first off, I'm going to piggyback off what you said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Matthew McConaughey has a famous quote when he was accepting an award at some show, maybe an Oscar. And he said that when he was younger, he was asked by his mentor who his hero is. And he said, I'll come back to you in a couple weeks. And he came back and he said, my hero is me in 10 years. And then 10 years later, that same person asked him, said, are you your hero yet? He said, not even close. My hero is me in another 10 years. So he's always going to be chasing after that. And I think that that's such a great mindset to have, especially in business, because I get accustomed when I have a big month, accustomed to that number.
Yep.
Right. And when I set a goal for myself, I wanted to make $10,000 a month. Now, if I made $10,000 a month, that would be because I was extremely lazy. I didn't work at all. I was doing all the wrong things. Right. Now that I know what is possible if I put in all the work, if I am not hitting the benchmarks that I set for myself, it's nothing outside. It's just because I'm not working hard enough.
One quick comment on McConaughey, and then I want to get into that point that you just made. Have you read his book?
I've not.
It's really interesting. I haven't read it, but I got a summary from like 4 different people now. It's on my list in my library, my digital library. It's cool, like very, very cool. It's about his upbringing and his story, and a lot of it's centered around the really weird family dynamic he had. So it makes sense to me that a lot of kids say their hero is like their dad. And for McConaughey, it's like, he had kind of a tougher type of relationship in his family. And I think like that's pushed him to constantly, look forward. So it's an interesting book. People should look it up. I don't remember the name exactly, but just look up McConaughey's like biography. Yeah. It's about his life growing up. He wrote it, I think, or he like ghost wrote it, whatever. But it's pretty good. The second point that you brought up with regards to that chasing of goals, right? Man is a goal-seeking animal. Man in brackets or woman, right? But the quote is from Aristotle. Man is a goal-seeking animal. His life only has purpose if he is reaching out and chasing his goals. Talk about what the partnership with DubClub has meant for your business and how the results have sort of spoken for themselves from $10,000 a month when you first joined to hundreds of thousands now and close to be, soon to be millions a month. Talk about that partnership with DubClub and what it's meant to scale your business and how it would have been without it.
Absolutely. So it's cool you bring that up because just recently in a group chat with yourself and the 2 other co-founders, I sent you guys a screenshot and it was my first month.
That's right.
My last month before DubClub and now my most previous month. And the difference was a couple hundred of thousands of dollars, which
was pretty cool.
Is pretty significant to see.
Yep.
Honestly, I can't say enough good things. I've been on record many times saying that, it's not just the technology, right? The technology is great, but it's the people.
Yeah.
I've said this so many times. Without good people, no business will ever succeed. And honestly, I think it's more about the people than the product. You can have the best product in the world, but if you have the people running it, they're not good to their customers. They don't think about what other people want. They're just money hungry. It's never going to work. So the relationship that we've grown over the years, I mean, I consider you guys my friends. We've gone scuba diving in the Cayman Islands together. Like that to me, it's so cool and it's invaluable. A big part that a lot of people, might not like to talk about in business is competition, right? So I get competitors reaching out to me quite often, asking me to come join their site. And when that happens, I reach out to you guys and say, I think I'm extremely valuable to this company and I want to stick around. Let's work something out. You know what I mean? Whereas other people might just say, oh, they're offering me a better deal.
Mm-hmm.
The relationship that I've built with the founders and DubClub has been so invaluable to me that I want to continue working with you guys for as long as I can.
Yeah, I love it. And the scuba diving story is a funny one, which I'll touch on really fast. I'll ask you, like, you know, on record, how was the experience and how was all that? Because we actually were able to, in 3 days, get you from filling out and finishing the online scuba course to getting certified in, you know, beautiful Cayman waters to your first dive out near the Kitty Wake in Grand Cayman. That whole experience, by the way, comes back to our sense of purpose. Our number one value at the company is we exist to drive unequaled outcomes for our customers who are the CEOs of their DubClub businesses. You guys are very special, right? You're very core to the mission of our company to help more people win more together. Without you, it's really hard for us to achieve that. You provide amazing content, super informational and educational resources, and a great community and a great sense of fun and anxiety relief for human beings. Like, that's super special to us. So the scuba diving was a testament to that value, right? Creating unequaled outcomes. How else are you going to learn how to scuba dive in 3 days on a nice vacation where, you know, you're with a group that you're comfortable with and all of it is sort of very much taken care of for you in a controlled environment, which for a very, very dangerous activity, which is something I wanted to like stress to you of like, hey, I want to do this together because it is pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
How was that experience? You know, learning how to scuba dive with myself, my dad, you know, folks down in the Cayman Islands.
Oh my goodness. Something that I'll never forget. And people say that a lot, but I was just talking to my girlfriend about this the other day. The 2 best days of my life were a day I had in the Bahamas and when we took that first initial dive. Like the 2 coolest experience. I shouldn't say the 2 best days, but the 2 coolest experiences.
She wasn't there on the second one.
Yeah.
I don't know about the
two coolest
first.
experiences I've had were a day in the Bahamas and a day in the Cayman Islands, right? And the fact that you and your dad were so open to helping me when you absolutely didn't have to, you were on your own family vacation, was, I mean, just shows how awesome DubClub is. So unbelievable experience. Thank you guys so much again. I know I've said it so many times, but
no, it was a blast. And it's a really good example too of just like the like-mindedness between us and these people we work with, you guys, our customers, right? We're pretty obsessed with you guys. You're very obsessed with the people you're taking care of, right? You were telling me out in the other room in the office that you've been doing a lot more intentional interactivity with your customer base, making sure they know you're around, making sure they know you're able to answer questions for them and be available when they have, you know, curiosities. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to up-level them to a point where maybe they have their own business one day, right? And they can give other people advice and they've elevated themselves to a more sustainable place in this industry where 50 million people in the US alone bet every week. I say that a lot because it's freaking true and that number is growing all the time. So anyways, I come back to that because it was a very special time for myself. My dad loved it.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good excuse to be able to go scuba diving.
absolutely.
A lot of fun. And it was a very beautiful time down there.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you were able to join. That was very fun.
Yeah. And if anyone's wondering how Ryan became a beast, just spend a couple days with his dad and you'll understand pretty quickly. What a cool guy.
Yeah, that's true. He's got a pretty great pedigree and an awesome wife and my mom. They listen to this podcast, so they'll probably hear all this. But yeah, he'd be nothing without her and likewise.
Yep.
So, Nick, I want to jump into what I want to get to. Like 5 years ago, you were building your business on a website, like your own website. Like, what was that like?
Honestly, I feel as though it was a necessary process in the development of my business. So literally, my senior year of college is when I sort of decided I wanted to pursue this and do it full time. So instead of going out on weekends, I would just sit inside and build a website. And it took about 5 to 10 weeks to do it. I had no clue how, and I was working through everything. So designed the website, started selling, and had pretty decent success. I was making money, especially as a college kid. It was great money.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, gone. Wix is the website I was using. They halted all payments because they were related to gambling. I didn't read the terms of service. I had no clue that I couldn't, provide a service that was related to gambling.
Yeah,
So
couldn't give advice on how to not lose as much money, right? Like, God forbid you guys try to do something good for people in this industry.
Yeah. So $75,000 sent back to customers. They held 75 grand, sent it all back to customers. I didn't see any of it. So we had met previously and talked about me joining DubClub, and I was like, I don't know yet. This is working right now. And then as soon as that happened, you guys were the first phone call, and we got set up extremely quickly. Process was super easy. So
and no issues, right? Since then,
absolutely.
I think that was December of 2022. I want to say.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was a good convo. I was like, all right, he's got some real problems here with the setup. I remember you were,
but I didn't realize that I had problems.
No, and I think and look, like, to each their own. I have a lot of problems with our business that, if someone who's an expert in our business in this industry would come in and do a quick diagnosis and tell me, I'd probably immediately be like, yeah, I don't know. Things are going well.
Yeah.
But I took a look at your site, and I remember trying to get the call to action button to redirect to your DubClub, like into your Wix website. And I was like, we were doing it together. Do you remember that? You were like in the editor yourself. I was on the Google Meet with you. I was like, what in the world? Like, how do you navigate this? And thankfully you trusted us that we would provide a better web page design for you, just out of the box, where you can customize it, have no checkout, payment issues, and the delivery is like smoothless and seamless.
Yep.
And it sounds like that's largely been the case, because two of your best memories have been when you've been able to like get away and take a trip, which for someone making $1 million a year on, from your business, you don't really expect that to be somewhat of a norm for someone. But you travel a lot, right? Like, you were telling me all the places you were going in the last 1 to 2 months.
Yeah. So the last 1 to 2 months have been a lot of travel. But to me, I'd rather spend my money on experiences and memories and creating relationships with other people than materialistic items. I'm not a materialistic person. It's nice to have nice things and look presentable and have a car that is reliable and get you from point A to point B. But to me, the majority of my money is spent on experiences. My girlfriend and I love to travel. We love to experience new cultures. Even just talking to people in San Francisco, you get such a different perspective from even people on the East Coast. And then, talking to an Uber driver or someone. I just learned the other day in India, in each different state in India, they speak a different language. So if you go from one state to another, you can't communicate with people from the same countries.
And I would have
never learned that if I didn't travel. Do you know what I mean?
That's insane.
So it'd be like someone from California going to Nevada and you don't know what they're saying.
That would be horrible.
Yeah. So traveling and experiencing the world is, to me, just something so crucial to understand what other people are going through, how they live their lives, and how it's so different. We live in such a bubble in the United States. We don't even hear about news from the Middle East or Asia or anything like that. So traveling, experiencing, finding new cultures is crucial to, being a well-rounded human.
How old are you? Remind the audience.
23.
23. Yeah. This is a 23-year-old who's building this business with this perspective. That's pretty incredible, dude. Like, I'm 30. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm that mature in the way I see the world, but it's tremendous because you've been able to build this life for yourself at such an early age because of the skill set you have, obviously the platform you found in us. I'm glad that was part of the journey because I think it's valuable for so many people, and I just want more of the world to see it. And the dedication you have to your craft, right, and helping other people. It's like, wow, you're 23, you're able to see the world. You've built this foundation for yourself that you've got sort of the whole world as your oyster.
Yeah, it's unbelievably blessed. But I don't want people to get that confused with luck, because I've had a lot of people say, oh, you're so lucky.
Talk about the grind. Now's the time. Talk about the grind, because I know the grind. Like, I know you still are. I mean, you're still grinding, right?
Yeah.
I asked you earlier if you get bored, because at a certain point, it's like that. It's that drive. You can't get rid of it.
Yep.
And that's, again, back to the audiobook, is like winning as this persona. It's like sitting on your shoulder, and it'll like dangle something in front of you and then go away, and it's like, shoot, I got to go chase that.
Yeah.
And that's the feeling I think you have too, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're never better than you are possibly tomorrow.
Yep.
And you want to chase that.
Absolutely. And to touch on that, I've had kids that I went to college with, oh, you're so lucky that this, and this. Well, on Fridays and Saturday nights, I was inside building a website and building a business, and you went to the bar or the club. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's what a lot of people in college
they chose
do.
that.
Absolutely. Do whatever you want.
Yep.
But don't say that it's luck when, I've sacrificed a lot for this. I was dead broke when I first started betting, trying to figure out how to become profitable. I spent my last dollar losing a bet and had no clue what I was doing, and had to figure out a way to earn an income. Like I was going to have to take my car off the road. I had a conversation with my dad. I was going to have to drop out of school and take my car off the road because I couldn't pay for it. And I had to figure out a way to do it. And that's when I started betting and selling my plays as well, and figuring out a way to earn an income to be able to just literally to get through school and drive.
Yeah, that journey is such a like frustrating thing to share with people sometimes, because to me, I get it. To a lot of people, they hear that, and without you having shared that, they see this $1 Million Earnings Club sign. They don't really realize what goes into it. Yeah. And what's super special for us in our position, and I'm sure you've seen this because you're very well connected in this industry. You see these young entrepreneurs, very hungry, very social media savvy, content centric. They're grinding. Like instead of going out on the weekends, right? They are at their computer, online, in front of a camera, in front of a phone, taking videos, doing crazy stuff. Yeah. I give a shout out, Joshua from Cheeseaholic. He's awesome. He sent me a text on Sunday about his Super Bowl video. We're going to play it in the short. He bet on the Chiefs, and as part of this Super Bowl video, he broke the TV. There were a couple things. He broke the TV, got smacked in the face with a pie or a cake. I don't even know what it was, but something. It definitely did not look comfortable. He told me later he didn't eat any of it, which is kind of a bummer. And he got dragged out of the house. Like all of that, because it's powerful for his business and the brand around the community he's building, and it's racking up. It's over 10 million views right now. Yeah. But like people look at that and they're like, oh, that's so funny. It's like he was planning that for weeks, and executing it was like not just hard, but extremely time intensive and very draining on your body and your mind to have to go through that stuff. And God forbid you don't get it right on the first cut. Right. You know, that kind of stuff like that's hard. Yeah. And when we talk about your business and the grind on Friday and Saturday nights, like you're putting in work, figuring out what plays you're going to make, what's the research behind it, what's the rationale that people are going to, feel comfortable with, what's the content I got to produce to get people engaged on this stuff. I mean, that stuff's not easy. No. Especially when you're doing it all for the first freaking time.
Yeah. And you're doing it for the benefit of other people. Yeah. Right. So when I'm publishing on DubClub, thousands of people are relying on me to make them money, whether it's a side hustle or their main income. That pressure would crush so many people. Like that's not a humble brag or anything. That's just saying, you're right. Like there are so many people in the world that just wouldn't want that and wouldn't be able to handle it, and they would just quit. And I've seen so many people do it, right?
Well, that's why you're one person and there are thousands of people subscribed to you. That it just like mathematically makes sense, right? Yeah. That's the trade-off in this pendulum is there's a small like handful in comparison to dozens and dozens and dozens that want to listen to this small handful.
Yeah. So that pressure is so difficult to deal with. Even now today, 5 years later, I still don't have it mastered. I still get upset.
You're always learning.
Yeah. And I think that's the part that a lot of people don't necessarily see is I'm not just a sports bettor, right? There's other people relying on me. I'm a business owner. Yep. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yep. Talk about what you've learned as a business owner.
Wow, so many things.
Let's do top 3 most essential learnings you think you've had. And then we'll get into
Number
advice.
1 is post on social media. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what it is. You could be doing the most random thing in the world. I guarantee you there are other people that do that same thing. Yep. Right? I saw a video the other day. I just happened to stumble across it. It was someone with playing cards like Pokemon, but it wasn't Pokemon. And it had over 1 million views and a ton of comments. I've never seen it before. And there's this giant niche of people, and this person's, making bank off of it. So post on social media is the biggest thing that I tell everyone. The second thing when people ask for advice is get out of your hometown. And that's not just moving, right? That's not just moving. That's get out of the ideology that everyone else from where you're from has, right? There's so many people that say, I'm just going to go to school around here, right? I'm going to stay where it's safe. If you're not willing to take leaps of faith and believe in yourself, no matter what it is, right? And I'm not saying you got to move across the country to chase your dreams, but you do have to have a growth mindset. And sometimes you have to understand that where you're at is affecting many different parts of your life. And the connections that you make as you move and experience new things in the world will open up so many opportunities for you. Just as an example, I got reached out to do a documentary to be in a documentary on CBS.
Wow.
So I do this, right? And I wasn't sure if I was going to do it. I didn't know if I wanted to be on TV. So I did it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. From that documentary, I got reached out to by a producer for Dr. Phil to go on the Dr. Phil show. So just by taking that one leap of faith and doing something, I got a second connection. And that Dr. Phil show has brought in at least $50,000 in revenue because it has millions and millions of views. So
wait, how did I not know about this?
I'm not sure.
What in the world? Wait, so when was the documentary aired on CBS, and then when was the Dr. Phil show that you did?
So the documentary on CBS was aired after the Super Bowl in last year.
Wow, I had no idea.
And then I filmed, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2023.
Yes, 23. And then I filmed Dr. Phil last March, so literally like 11 months ago, and it was just aired in November.
Wow! Oh my gosh, you're a real celebrity, TV personality.
And you know what's funny is people say that or they think that, but I'm just a normal person that started posting videos on social media.
Yeah, that's excellent. That was the first piece of advice.
Yeah,
post often, get out of your comfort zone, location wise, geographically. What was the third?
You're putting me on the spot. I would just say
you almost got away with just two. I mean, these are so good that I know there's a third nugget in there.
That I talk about. I was hoping you wouldn't hold me to third, but never be satisfied.
There you go.
So I have a mentor, and something he told me that stuck with me was, he said, if I fight an alligator, I'm gonna die, but if I fight an alligator after it eats, I'm going to kill the alligator. And the reason is, after an alligator eats, it becomes satisfied and almost becomes paralyzed. So they really can't move. And that's how business is, right? When I first started, I made $10,000 in a month and I got satisfied. I was like, I'm just going to do this for the rest of my life. Right? I'm never going to work. I'm going to make $120,000 a year. And then the sales started to drop. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I gonna
your floor gets lower.
Exactly. So now it's whatever I did the month before, I got to be better than that. So never, ever be satisfied.
That's awesome advice, Nick. Really good job. Number one, post on social media. Doesn't matter what it is. There's probably a niche out there that will like what you're doing. There's definitely a niche out there, very, very large and highly engaged and passionate one that will appreciate your sports betting advice if you're good at it. Or generally if you have like interesting content. Just try it. Number two, move out of your comfort zone geographically and mentality-wise, like mentally, get out of that comfort zone. You don't know what the world has to offer. Go explore. Now's the time. You're young, right? You're building a business. You can do it online. You can take risks. Go explore. See what life is like. And then number three, never be satisfied. Don't become the fat alligator that gets killed by the human being when it absolutely should not allow that to happen. Those are great pieces of advice. Very nicely and succinctly summarized.
Thank you.
I love all that. So the never be satisfied is the one that I want to touch on because I think that's fascinating in the context of your business, what you're building on DubClub, and the relationship that you have in particular with your account manager, Dash. Talk about that mentality put into practice with your business and the services DubClub provides to allow you to do that, so you're not in a situation for your business where you have to worry about sales dropping or sales hitting the floor the next month.
Yeah. So first of all, Dash is an absolute weapon. I'm sure he's going to watch this. He's awesome. But my relationship with Dash has grown not only in how often we meet, but how productive our meetings are and the things that we talk about, not just business, but life and, exciting things that are going on. So recently, Dash and I have started meeting once every 2 weeks.
Awesome.
And basically what it is just a breakdown of my data, how I'm feeling, what's working, what's not. And I'll tell him what I'm thinking, what I think works. And he will actually go in, look at the data and say, yeah, or that's actually not working. Like you're not converting on this sale or whatever at all. So let's try this. Or someone else is doing X. This person's doing this. Let's try changing up the content. So every time I meet with Dash, or honestly anyone in the company, because I've met with other people as well, I leave with at least one, but most of the time numerous things that I can work on to become more successful. Because I've realized, and I know I probably should have realized this a long time ago, but I don't have the answers to everything. Especially when I was first approached by DubClub to switch over. I thought that I was totally fine on my own, right? You know, sometimes when you're young, you think you know everything. But no, there are so many people that know more than I do, especially about this space, and especially about the data and the market. So listening to other people, especially Dash, because him and I work very closely, has literally allowed me to 10x my business in a matter of a year.
I'm glad you brought all that up because I think it's really important for our listeners and potential CEO partners on DubClub, people that want to build their business, giving advice in this industry. I need them to understand what you could have understood 2.5 years ago, but I totally respect and appreciate that you didn't. We're not trying to get anything from you, right? When we reach out and we tell you we think you could get a lot of value from building your business on DubClub, it's because we genuinely mean that. And we genuinely want that to be the case. There's nothing we benefit, right, from making your life, right? I mean, there's nothing we'd benefit from trying to like get the better of you, right? And I know there are some, I won't name names, but I just do think there are some people in this industry that are a bit nefarious like that, right? It's not always about what's actually best for the user's livelihood and for the businesses y'all are building. And I think part of that is because it's not always well appreciated that you're building real businesses and your lives depend on this as income, sustainability, and generally like financial stability. That is what it comes down to. So, you know, if I have to tell new partners who don't meet me personally, right, but understand the ethos of what we do here at DubClub, it's we are really here to help you win more together with us and with the people that are willing to pay you for the advice, the content, the community that you can provide. And we don't benefit from trying to take advantage of you. That's not of interest to us. We are really always trying to reach out to get you from today's life to a better life tomorrow. And that's why, I started this podcast, because there's countless stories of all this. And I think you're a really good example. And one of those pieces of the DubClub puzzle is that time you get with your account manager, Dash in particular, who's really just a coach, right? Like, is he not kind of like a personal trainer? Like if you're trying to hit a certain weight or, achieve certain goals in the weight room, you'd probably have somebody giving you a nutrition plan and understanding how to optimize the exercises you're doing, what to eat, all of that. I mean, is that not really what Dash does in a sense?
He does everything. He's my hype man. He's my coach. He brings me back down to earth when I'm, feeling
fair.
myself a little too much. He does it all. So
good coaches do that. Yeah,
absolutely. Right. You gotta hype them up when they're successful, but then also, make them realize that there's more to be done.
Nick, you have a pretty awesome product. Can you talk a little bit about what goes into how you provide such awesome information that so consistently wins?
Yeah. So I like to tell people, whether you want to believe it or not, there's no one in the world that's smart enough to actually beat the sports books, right? They have computer models and that are just unbelievable, right? They're the best in the world.
They've just got more data, right? Data is king and queen and everything in between.
And more money to put into making the lines perfect. So I like to tell people the only way you can is if you have your own computer. When I was in college, I was taking a finance class. I don't know how this came out of a finance class, but it was absolutely awful. One of the hardest classes I've ever taken. The professor, shout out Professor Gallagher, was...
Wow, knows him by name.
Yeah, well, I'll never forget because he's the reason, his class is the reason that this all started. We had to create a regression using either Python or R code for everyone that's listening.
Yep. Regression analyses are not a thing that I think I would find
it's
exciting.
awful. It's awful. But, so we had to do this for a class for our final project, and my buddy and I loved sports, love sports betting, and we had already created the account with a different friend. I had already created an account, posting plays, but they weren't
an Instagram account or TikTok account?
TikTok, yeah, mainly. So now we were thinking, why don't we create a regression that can simulate the outcome of sporting events? So we did, and it was horrible at first. So we ended up getting like a B on the project. We thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like we thought it was unbelievable. There's no way anyone did better than this. We're getting an A for sure. We ended up getting a B, solid.
Bunch of nerds in that class.
Yeah, but since then not we anymore, because this person now has a job with a professional sports team, so they can't be involved in sports betting, obviously. So it's myself now. But after that, we continue to work on it because we actually thought we had something. And just continuing to make tweaks. Again, that what we've talked about, never be satisfied. We continue to make it better. Still to this day, I ask him for help on different things that, we're going through a cold streak right now. What am I missing? What can I change that will help this, right? Because everyone knows cold streaks are a part of sports betting. No matter who you are, you're going to go through.
Oh yeah.
But it's how can we get out of them? How can we minimize the damage? So through this class, we were able to create a computer algorithm that simulates each game every day 10,000 times. And at first, it was incredibly difficult to actually read the data. Like we had to comb through it, and it took a couple hours to read through data for a couple of games. But now it basically just spits out projected spread, total money line for every game, right into an Excel spreadsheet. We look at it, we compare it to the sportsbook data, and we just look for discrepancies. It could not be any easier now. It was incredibly difficult then.
That's freaking amazing.
But yeah, and I'm in no way saying, I've been on record saying this as well, I'm in no way saying that it's more powerful than the sportsbook computers.
Yeah.
But sports betting is a market, just like the stock market. So as people bet certain sides, lines move. So as the lines move, we're able to identify discrepancies in the line and bet there to be profitable.
You mentioned when we were talking in the office that you had somebody go through a 30-minute phone call with you asking about what in the world do you do? How are you so good? And then after they were done with that phone call, they bought a $2,000 package to your DubClub to get your advice. What did you talk about on that phone call? And why do you think it was so impactful for them?
Literally pretty much everything we've been talking about right now, especially that last part, because they just wanted to know, how do you make the plays? He said, I've been with other handicappers and it didn't go well. It seemed like they were just guessing. So I explained to him our entire process and how we mitigate risk and maximize our reward through bankroll management. Everyone likes to talk about it, so I won't get too deep into it. But sports betting is a risk. Just like the stock market, you can lose a lot of money if you're not doing it properly. Even if you're a good bettor, you can lose a lot of money if you're not doing it properly. So I talked to him about what he wanted to gain out of our partnership if he were to sign up. And he told me that he wants to be able to buy a wedding ring for his wife. Amazing. Right? Or for his fiance. So that was his goal. That's his financial goal, right? Everyone has something different. Not everyone is looking for, financial freedom through betting. Some people are just looking for some extra bar money, right? So that was his goal. And I said, okay, let's talk about how much it is, blah, 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 blah. And I said, so you're on average, he's a $300 bettor. So I broke down, we make X amount of units per month at $300, blah, blah, blah. On average, it'll take you this long to get there. And for him, a month is $250. That wasn't going to get him there. So he said, what's the longest subscription package you have? And I said, well, we're offering a sale on our lifetime package right now, actually. Bought it. And he's already bought, I just got the DM like 2 weeks ago. He already bought his fiance the ring, and it's been less than 3 months.
Jeez, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Those kinds of stories, I mean, I'm sure you have a bunch of those. Like I always ask for like, case studies, things that you've heard from subscribers, but that one's amazing, right?
Oh my
like
goodness.
Going from a consultation call with setting a goal with you, which is really cool, by the way. It's not normal. Like a lot of these purchases happen like online, your marketing drives a lot of it, but you actually set a goal with this individual to get to a point where he has enough money from this side hustle, basically, of his, which is sports betting, listening to your advice, that he could buy his fiance a wedding ring, and 3 months later he's already done it. Yeah. That's freaking cool.
Yeah, the craziest one.
And like that, you can't make that stuff up too. That's why I want to be clear to the audience is like, that is a story that was like, the details are so clear. I've interviewed enough people now, like both our customers and also like potential hires, where I ask for details, and it's like, if you can't give the details, it's very clear you didn't actually do it, right? It's just a fun story that you tell or something that looks good. But with you, it's like, you can't BS that, right? And this person's probably gonna be listening to the podcast and, you know, pumping his chest, fired up to hear you talking about it.
I'll make the story even better. So, a long-term subscriber of mine, Mr. Frank, awesome guy.
Is that actually his name?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Nice.
he's cool with me saying it, so we can
Yeah, cool. Mr. Frank, shout out.
Yeah, shout out Mr. Frank. He invited me, he's a big Chiefs fan, invited me to the AFC Championship game. I mentioned
Bills.
that I was there.
Yeah.
I'm a Bills fan from Buffalo. He's a Chiefs fan. He's been inviting me to a game all year. He's like, you've made me so much money. I want to fly. I want to bring you out here. I want to take you to a game.
So this was the guy that, okay, that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he takes me to the game. We're sitting in the club level. Amazing game. Obviously the Bills lost, but I was okay with losing that day because, you know, got to keep the clients happy. So
Yep. And Josh won the MVP. So that's fine.
So then 2 days later, another subscriber of mine says, "Hey, my company has tickets to the Florida Panthers. I know you live in Florida. I want to get you and a buddy seats." So I'm driving across the state to go to a Florida Panthers game, sitting on the glass, paid for by a subscriber, and that's when I took the phone call to sell this lifetime subscription as I was driving across the state to go to a game that a subscriber bought me tickets to.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah, super cool.
What is the craziest thing that you've done with your earnings?
This is going to be a perfect little layup here. So
I saw you calculating, by the way, your summary of expenses, and I think it was in January, which is freaking hilarious. I don't know if that's part of it, but yeah, what's the craziest thing you've done with your earnings?
Recently, like a week ago, we have to make sure this doesn't air for a little bit. I bought my mom a car.
It'll be at least 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I bought my mom a luxury car for the first time, which was,
gosh, that's freaking
something I've always wanted to do. Something that everyone wants to do, right?
Yeah, totally.
And, I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to be able to do that. Got her a Mercedes GLE SUV.
That's
super
awesome.
sweet,
That's giving me
brand
goosebumps.
new. Yeah,
that's exciting.
4 miles on it just for me taking the test drive.
Nice. Got to make sure it works, right? Rides well.
And my parents are awesome. They've given me so much throughout my life, and given me so many. They haven't given me anything. They've encouraged me to be a good person and do things the right way. Which when I was younger, I hated it because they were super strict. But now you see so many different people in the world, and you say thank you. You know what I mean? So
100%.
They've always wanted this Mercedes SUV, and for one reason or another, just never bought it for themselves. So I'm getting it for my mom because my dad hates accepting gifts, but I'm sure he'll use it.
That is amazing. When are you going to gift it to her? Just so, just in case this airs, right? I want to make sure we don't spoil it.
I'm going home to see them the 14th of February.
Oh, so, perfect. Friday. Yeah. So you're fine.
Yeah. It'll be in the 2 weeks that I'm home. They're actually, so my dad was at the Super Bowl. We had to ship the paperwork to him to sign for the car.
So he knows, but she doesn't.
Correct. So we had to ship the paperwork to his hotel at the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Ship it back, and then they're shipping the car back home for when I'm there.
That is amazing. And you bought it in Florida?
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about, so that was one thing we kind of skipped over in terms of the story arc here with you. You've moved around a bit. One of your the big three, I call it, pieces of advice you had was, number 2, don't let yourself get comfortable or get out of your comfort zone from a geography and a location basis. You've moved around a bit, right? You're originally from upstate New York, moved down. You're going to move again soon. Talk about why you've done that and how it's sort of pushed you to explore different parts of you as a person and as a business owner.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I should say this on air, but a big reason is taxes.
That's fine to say. I mean, I think that's good advice to give somebody that's thinking of building a business.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone has to consider that, right?
Especially when you're making a certain amount of money. State income tax is a lot, right?
Yep. California,
10% might not sound like a lot, but if you're making $1 million a year, it's 100 grand. So a big reason moving to Florida was no state income tax. And then
The one real quick point on that is geography for your business and for businesses on DubClub in general, it's moot, right? Because you're offering a product that can be consumed anywhere.
absolutely.
Especially if you are posting content on, for advice on sports books that are located in, at this point, it's like 33, 34 states across the country. You could also probably get into some of the daily fantasy stuff if you tap into that or hire somebody to post that on your behalf. So it opens up the aperture of who can consume your content, which allows you to pretty much move wherever the heck you want. We've had a lot of people move to Texas.
Yep.
Florida's a big one. I think the tax stuff is real, and that's advice that people should take to heart, especially if they're young and have the opportunity to do it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And to me, growing up in a small town in New York, I had a lot of drive in the summers. I wanted to do stuff in the summers, worked out a lot more in the summers, but then winter comes around and it's dark at 5 o'clock and you're sitting inside doing nothing but, watching Netflix.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not how I want to spend my life. I want to be adventurous. I want to live. So moved down to Florida. I went to a Bills snow game against the 49ers. And the day after, packed up everything and just drove down to Florida. Super cool. And one of the best decisions I've ever made. And it's not a shock that 14 days later, my business took off.
Yep.
And I will tell people that you can believe me or not. As soon as you move to somewhere where it's nice out, you will want to work so much more. You'll want to work so much harder. You're going to have so much more drive. You're going to get up early. And you're going to want to do things, meet people. I literally just made a video about this the other day. When you move out of your comfort zone to somewhere where it's nice out, you have motivation all year round. You wake up at 6 a.m. and it's nice out and you want to go for a run and start your day out the right way. Work hard, go to the gym. It's so much more than just the tax implications. It's a way of life.
Yep.
Everyone down in Florida, Texas, they have money. You have to have money to survive. I made a video the other day. I'm in a parking lot, Lamborghini Urus, Lamborghini Huracan, Rolls-Royce Cullinan, and I'm just in a normal parking lot, just pulling in, and it just makes you want. It makes you want to work. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I got it made, blah 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 blah, and then there's this person rolling in a $1 million car, and it's I'm nothing. I got to work harder.
Yeah, it's a sense check for you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's like I totally relate to that because I was raised in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, heart of technology, and look what I'm doing. We're in a technology company, right? It's like that didn't happen by mistake.
Absolutely not.
I think I'm always kind of interesting. We're gonna wrap the podcast up here in a few minutes, but I'm always interested in the nature versus nurture commentary. What you're talking about is like you force yourself to be in a nature situation that is outside of what you were sort of nurtured in, and it forces you to identify ways to find new opportunities because you sort of have to.
Yep.
Otherwise, you just kind of get stuck in your own ways, and that's boring.
Yep. Survival of the fittest, adapt or die. You either figure it out or you don't, right?
Yeah, you don't. You move back home, don't really do much. And I think that's actually, I personally have found and there's a lot of data points on this, but I found that mentality really resonates with like the younger generation, right? You're 23. There's a lot of people that went to school during COVID. They were spending basically all their time online because there's no other option. Couldn't meet up with people. And because of that, with the advances in technology, products like DubClub, you're able to make a living for yourself that is extremely flexible. No 9 to 5, no putting on a suit and tie. If you're pretty good at what you do, which is content, right? Marketing, researching, building models, and interacting with people that value your advice, shoot, you move wherever you want, start up a business on DubClub, start making money.
Absolutely. I have 2 quick, cool, just stories.
Yeah, let's hear them. Some anecdotes.
So first is I bought my mom a nice car and I was like, son of the year, this is cool, blah, 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 blah. I get a DM from a premium member and says, oh, that's cute. He bought his mom a Rolls-Royce Cullinan from Tailing My Place. Huge better. Wow. He bets $50K a game. So like huge, big time better.
Yeah. Holy cow.
I'm like, no, you didn't. Sends me a video of her pulling the tarp off of it. And it just ruined my day. I was like, I mean, that's awesome, but like now I'm nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, there you go. I mean, that's the need to search for that next thing, right? I'm sure your mom is going to absolutely love this car. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know if would she even want a Rolls Royce, or that's that too much?
Not. No, definitely not. Yeah. But the second is I have a subscriber who may or may not be in college.
Yep.
Who is making $10,000 to $20,000 a week, tailing my place. He made $21,000 on the Super Bowl with my bets. He made $67,000 this past week. Just sent me a DM. He sends me DMs quite often. $67,000 in a week. He is very young, and it's impressive to see because I say if I would have started doing this when I was his age, I would be so much further ahead. And it's incredible to see that. I feel like every generation thinks, the next generation, they're so lazy, blah, 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 blah. And it's cool to see something like that where, I'm helping someone pay for when they go to college or do whatever. Like, it's really cool.
It's super cool. I have two tough questions to end this out.
Please.
Not really tough, but, they're kind of, you'll be like, all right, think about this. The first question is for someone like that, what are the risks to you of that person using your content as a means to sell their own product to other people? Basically, I would subscribe to you and then resell the advice you're giving higher than the subscription that you're charging so that I can make the money.
I get it. I know it happens because it's extremely hard to avoid. I think DubClub does a good job with their security preventions, not allowing people to screenshot on the app or screenshot the plays, which is amazing. But it's going to happen. It happens in every single industry, no matter what it is, right? There's going to be people that steal it and use it for themselves.
It's just reselling. It happens literally all the time.
Everywhere. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about it. I know it happens, but I've gotten messages from premium members that said, I just want you to know this guy is trying to resell your plays. He offered them to me for $10.
Yep.
And they're saying, I'd rather pay $250 a month and pay you than pay this guy $10.
Yep.
Which to me is just unbelievable to hear, and it shows that I'm doing it the right way and that people are happy with it. So you can't let the negative 1% make you think negatively about the 99%.
Yeah, awesome way to put it. Building a business with integrity has long-term benefit, and I think you're figuring that out. Second question. What would be a reason not to join your DubClub? In other words, why would I not join your DubClub? Is there anything that would cause me not to want to?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons. If you like to bet parlays, I don't bet parlays. So if that's what you like to do, no shade to you.
Yeah.
It's just not how I do it. So
keep the main thing.
Yeah,
that's fair.
If you like to bet parlays, you probably shouldn't join. And number two, if you're not a big enough bettor, if you're not at least $20 a month better with the sale. So we have a sale for all new customers. If you buy a month, you get a second month free. So if you're not at least a $20 better, you won't be able to afford it. You won't make enough to cover the cost of it.
Oh, so like 20 a unit would not recoup my profit.
Correct.
So you actually view it very much on an ROI basis. Like on your average profited units per month.
Correct.
You're hoping that subscribers put down enough when they're making their own bets that it pays off the subscription, which at this point is what, 100 and something?
$250 a month.
$250 a month.
Yeah. $10 a month. I tell them, no, don't waste your money.
Go find, there's plenty of other, sports content creators on DubClub. A lot of other DubClubs you can join that are cost effective,
right?
Really fun,
right?
Very, a lot of like very high value and entertaining parlay communities, but that's not your business, right? And that's your product and that's your DubClub, and it's very different.
Again, in every industry, there's businesses and people that fill different needs.
Yep.
Right. I do this solely to make money. Betting on sports, I mean. I do that only to make money. I don't do it for entertainment. I don't do it for fun.
Yep.
There's other people that like to bet 10 leg parlays and just have fun with it. Right. Yep. So if that's you, join someone else. But if you want to make money doing it long term and you want to look at this as investment rather than a pastime, and you're at least betting $20, $25, $30 a game, this is the community for you.
Nick, what an awesome podcast. On that, it's if you want to subscribe to Nick, he's very upfront, which I freaking appreciate, right? Like someone that I'd be buying a product from. I don't want them BSing me. And that's, again, same with us. It's like integrity. We'll tell someone when it's not a fit to sell your products on DubClub. We like people that are serious about making money by offering other people advice. That's who we work with in the businesses that are built on our platform. From 5 years ago in the dorm room to 5 years later making $1 million on DubClub, all the stuff in between. This was a really fun episode with a lot of really good tidbits and a lot of good, concise learnings. I think the future is very bright for DormRoom Degenerates, and you have to edit that because I'm stuttering at the end of this podcast. What goal do you have for yourself? Let's talk about goals, never satisfied. What goal do you have for yourself in 2025?
That is a fantastic question and one I've thought about a lot. My goal this year is to be more at peace with where I am in life, not looking so far into the future that I don't appreciate where I am, because I definitely see myself doing that a lot. If I can make this much by X, I'll be able to do this. Whereas I really need to start focusing on where I am and appreciating that, not taking it for granted and not saying that I don't want to continue to work to grow, but appreciating where I was to where I am now and realizing how cool it is, and just being at peace with the decisions I make and everything that's happening. Because there's a lot of stress in this industry, especially when you have thousands of people relying on you to make money. And many times I've caught myself where it's too much. And then I've done a lot of reflecting, and that's the one area of my life that needs the most improvement, is just being at peace with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing.
Being settled.
Yeah.
Do you read books often? Do you get a chance to read?
I will read business books every once in a while, but I won't read like fiction or...
Okay. Well, what about, check this out. For those that are listening that are like, man, I feel really unsettled, but I'm highly motivated and really hungry. But sometimes I just don't feel easy in my life right now. There's a really good book recommended by one of my really good childhood friends. His name's Kevin. It's called Untethered Soul. You should read it. It's a really quick read. Basically talks about, your position here on earth and, getting into like existential stuff a little bit, but valuable nonetheless if you just don't feel like, what am I really doing here sometimes? And like just remembering how special what you've created is and how much life you have to live, right? This concept of being untethered. That's recognizing amazing. Like once you kind of like untether yourself, I think you'll hit even higher heights.
Yeah, I will definitely read that.
It's awesome. A quick one. I don't know if you have a Kindle, but I read on my Kindle over the holidays, and I'll probably read it like once every quarter. It's pretty great. It's like a nice little meditative read.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been awesome. Nick, CEO at DormRoom Degenerates, absolute savage, super smart, super good person. Everyone's going to love this episode. I'm very confident in that. Nick, it's been awesome having you on the episode.
Yeah, you're the man. Thank you so much for having me. San Francisco, all the works, everything already set up. So you guys do it the best. I appreciate you, and let's keep winning more together.
Let's win more together. Time to get a beer. Speaking of winning more together, we'll catch you guys soon.